On a quiet evening in October 1978, a young pilot named Frederick Valentich set out on what should have been a routine flight over the Bass Strait, a stretch of ocean separating mainland Australia from the island of Tasmania. He was flying a Cessna 182L, a small single-engine aircraft perfect for such a journey. But what happened next has puzzled aviation experts, sparked countless theories, and remains one of the most mysterious disappearances in Australian history. Was it pilot error, mechanical failure, or something more otherworldly? This is the story of Frederick Valentich and his encounter with the unknown. On October 21, 1978, Frederick Valentich, a 20-year-old Australian pilot, took off from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne. He was headed for King Island, a remote location known for its quiet, scenic views and small community. It should have been a straightforward flight. Valentich had logged over 150 hours of flying time, and the weather conditions were clear, but less than an hour into the flight, everything changed. At 7:06 p.m, Valentich radioed Melbourne Flight Service to ask if there were any known aircraft in his area. The controller responded, "There's no known traffic." Moments later, Valentich described an object with 4 bright lights hovering above him. His voice was calm but uncertain, and he said the object was moving erratically, unlike anything he had ever seen. Then a metallic scraping noise filled the radio transmission, and all contact with Valentich was lost. Despite an extensive search, neither he nor his plane was ever found. Let's reconstruct the events leading up to Frederick Valentich's disappearance. At 6:19 p.m, Valentich departed from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne en route to King Island. He was flying a Cessna 182L, a lightweight aircraft known for its reliability on short flights. At first, everything seemed routine. The weather was clear, visibility was good, and Valentich appeared to be in good spirits. But just over halfway into his journey, at 7:06 p.m, Valentich made his first unusual transmission to Melbourne Flight Service. He asked if there were any known aircraft in his vicinity at about 4,500 feet. The controller, surprised by the question, responded that there was no known air traffic at that altitude. Valentich replied, describing what he saw as a large aircraft with 4 bright lights passing about 1,000 feet above him. He reported that it seemed to be moving at a high speed and behaving erratically. Over the next few minutes, Valentich's transmissions grew increasingly frantic. He described the object as having a shiny metallic surface and green lights. Then, at 7:12 p.m, he made his final, chilling statement. "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft." Seconds later, a strange metallic scraping noise filled the radio channel, and then silence. The only clue left behind was that eerie sound, captured in his final transmission. As news of Valentich's disappearance spread, a massive search and rescue operation was launched. The Australian Air Force, joined by local and civilian aircraft, combed the area for days, looking for any sign of the missing pilot or his Cessna. Despite the extensive efforts, no wreckage was ever found. No oil slicks, no debris, nothing that could offer a clue as to what happened. Valentich, along with his plane, had simply vanished. But the search for answers was only just beginning. As authorities struggled to explain the disappearance, theories began to emerge. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged to explain Valentich's disappearance. Was it a tragic accident, a deliberate hoax, or something more out of this world? Let's examine the leading theories, starting with the most conventional. Many experts suggest that the most likely explanation is pilot error. Flying over the featureless expanse of the Bass Strait at dusk could easily disorient even an experienced pilot. Spatial disorientation is a phenomenon where a pilot loses the ability to determine their position relative to the ground, often with catastrophic consequences. But would an experienced pilot like Valentich, with over 150 hours of flying time, succumb to such a basic mistake? And if so, why did he report seeing a strange object hovering above him? And that brings us to the next theory. Another possibility is that Valentich's plane suffered a mechanical failure. The Cessna 182L is a reliable aircraft, but like any machine, it's susceptible to malfunction. Some believe that a sudden engine failure or fuel system issue could have caused Valentich to crash into the sea. But if this was the case, why was no wreckage found, and why did Valentich describe seeing an unidentified flying object just before his disappearance? And then there's the theory that has captured the imagination of many. Was Frederick Valentich abducted by a UFO? In his final transmission, Valentich described an object with bright lights and a metallic surface, moving in ways no known aircraft could. UFO researchers point to this as evidence of an extraterrestrial encounter. Valentich's description is consistent with numerous other reports of UFO sightings: bright lights, erratic movements, and sudden appearances. Some believe that Valentich's plane was taken by a UFO, either as part of an experiment or an abduction. There were several other reports of strange lights and objects over the Bass Strait that very night. Eyewitnesses from various points along the coast claim to have seen unusual lights moving erratically over the water. Some of these reports came from reliable sources, including local fishermen and even a few commercial pilots. To understand this mystery, we need to examine the available evidence closely. The official investigation by the Australian Department of Transport concluded that the reason for Valentich's disappearance could not be determined due to lack of evidence, but there were some intriguing details in the report that raise more questions. For example, several witnesses came forward after Valentich's disappearance, claiming they had seen strange lights or objects in the sky over the Bass Strait that night. A farmer reported seeing a green light hovering above the water in the area where Valentich was flying. Others described a cigar-shaped object moving at incredible speeds. Is it possible that Valentich encountered something truly extraordinary that night? Something beyond our understanding? Of course, not everyone believes in the UFO theory. Many skeptics argue that there are far more mundane explanations for what Valentich saw that night. Some experts suggest that Valentich could have mistaken the lights of a nearby island or even Venus, which was particularly bright that night, for an unidentified flying object. Others believe he may have seen the reflection of his own aircraft lights on the water, causing confusion. But do these explanations account for the erratic movements and the metallic scraping sounds described in Valentich's final transmission? Then there are those who believe in a government cover-up. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the Australian government or military might have been conducting secret tests or operations in the area. Could Valentich have stumbled upon something he wasn't meant to see? There are claims that military radar picked up unidentified objects in the area that night, but these reports were allegedly suppressed. Some even suggest that Valentich might have been involved in smuggling or clandestine activities, and his disappearance was part of a larger conspiracy. But with no concrete evidence, these remain just that, theories. Decades have passed since Frederick Valentich vanished without a trace over the Bass Strait. Yet his disappearance continues to baffle experts and intrigue conspiracy theorists alike. Was it a tragic accident, a close encounter with something beyond our world, or something more sinister? The truth, whatever it may be, remains elusive. But one thing is certain: Frederick Valentich's story is a stark reminder that even in our modern world, mysteries still exist that defy explanation. We want to hear from you. What do you think happened to Frederick Valentich? Was it a UFO encounter, a tragic accident, or something else? Share your theories in the comments below. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries, UFO encounters, and the unknown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have many more stories to explore, and we want you to join us for every journey. Whether it's a UFO, a government secret, or just a tragic accident, the disappearance of Frederick Valentich remains a mystery, one that continues to captivate, confound, and remind us of the vast unknowns that lie just beyond our reach.